Hello and welcome to Arirang News for this Sunday, August 25th. I'm Park Jong-hong. In our top story, today marks 6 months since President Park Geun-hye took office. Just like any other leader of state, so far there have been areas the president has been commended on, as well as issues that have stirred up heated debate. Our presidential office correspondent, Eoh Jin-joo, gives us a wrap-up of President Park's performance.
More than half of the people here in the nation believe President Park is doing a good job. Her approval rating has steadily increased since her inauguration in February to 54%, according to a recent survey released by Gallup Korea on August 16th. President Park's North Korea policy is where she earned the most points during the past 6 months. She consistently maintained a firm stance against Pyongyang even after the North unilaterally shut down the inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex in April. She made it clear that there will be no compromises made on such provocative behavior. Her strategy eventually drew the North back to the negotiating table, which resulted in a joint agreement between the two Koreas, stating there will be no further halts at the business park and the two will work towards globalization of the complex.
저는 이번 합의를 계기로 과거 남북 관계의 잘못된 관행을 바로잡고 상생의 새로운 남북 관계가 시작되기를 바람하지 않습니다.
President Park also proved her strength in diplomacy. During the bilateral summits with U.S. President Barack Obama and Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Park was able to secure full support from both countries on her push for a trust-building process with North Korea. However, she saw her lowest approval rating in April in the early weeks after she took office due to botched nominations for key members of her new administration. The tax code overhaul announced earlier this month also faced strong backlash from the opposition party and much of the public that criticized the proposal for increasing the burden on the middle class. The Finance Ministry quickly put forth a revised version of the tax code proposal, but many experts criticized President Park's economic team for being ignorant on what helps people's livelihoods. The Presidential Office of Cheong-wha explained that if the first 6 months were a period to set up the blueprint for the Park administration, it will now speed up its efforts to push ahead with actual measures to revitalize the economy and create more jobs. Eoh Jin-joo, Arirang News.
The South Korean and North Korean Red Cross will start verifying this week whether the applicants for the upcoming inter-Korean family reunion are still alive. The reunion of families separated by the Korean War is scheduled to take place starting September 25th. The South Korean Red Cross plans to narrow down the list of randomly selected 500 candidates to anywhere between 200 to 250 in the coming days, and confirm the final list of 100 people by September 16th. Meanwhile, the list of candidates from the North will be directly selected by North Korea's ruling Workers' Party. An official at the South Korean Red Cross says, with only a month left until the event, the group will proceed with the necessary preparations as soon as possible. Turning now to the latest on Korea's multi-billion-dollar fighter jet deal. To the surprise of many, all three bidders, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and the European Aeronautic Defense and Space Company, have handed in letters of intent to the Korean government on Friday in hopes of providing 60 new fighter jets to the country. Lockheed Martin with its F-35A and EADS with its Eurofighter Typhoon, which were known to have been cut out of the race due to their staggering prices, also showed their last intent to participate in the project. Only Boeing's F-15 Silent Eagle had met the price range asked by the Korean government during previous biddings. An official at the Defense Acquisition Program Administration says the F-15 Silent Eagle, as of now, will most likely be selected. But much controversy is expected if its performance and technology lag behind the other two models. As the nation's housing rental prices keep soaring while the property market remains sluggish, the Korean government has rolled up its sleeves to help citizens afford decent homes. The National Housing Fund will be expanded, and interest rates on housing loans will likely be lowered. Our Han Da-eun tells us more.
Amid Korea's ongoing slump in the property market, more and more home buyers are turning to jeonse, Korea's unique housing system of lump sum rental deposits, instead of buying their own homes, even if they can afford it. The popularity of long-term housing leases have sent jeonse prices skyrocketing, and it's no news that an average Korean has to go through extreme difficulties in finding a decent place to live. To ease the burden on its people, the government has stepped in. According to the government's latest report on measures to stabilize the housing market, which will be announced sometime next week, the National Housing Fund will be expanded, while the interest rate on housing loans will be lowered to encourage more people to buy homes. Currently, a married couple with a combined income of $40,000 looking to purchase a home that costs less than $270,000 receives government aid of up to $90,000 at an annual interest rate of 4%. Now the government is reviewing ways to expand that support so that married couples with higher incomes can afford to purchase more expensive homes at lower interest rates. Market watchers are welcoming the government's possible new measures, saying that encouraging potential home buyers with purchasing power to buy their homes is the quickest way at this point to revamp the sagging housing market. The government also plans to increase this year's planned supply of jeonse and other housing from the current 36,000 units to much more. Details of the measures will likely be announced next Wednesday. Han Da-eun, Arirang News.
New data shows that Samsung Electronics still reigns as the market leader of televisions in the first half of the year. Market research company DisplaySearch says Samsung sales of flat-screen TVs made up for more than 27%, followed by local rival LG Electronics with around 16%, and Japan Sony trailing behind at less than 7%. What's notable is that Samsung has led the flat-screen market for the 30th straight quarter. Both Samsung and LG are the innovative leaders in releasing curved display OLED TVs, with LG claiming the rights of being the world's first. These OLED televisions enable slimmer designs and more vivid images compared with their rival LCD screens that require a backlight. The crisis in Syria and the alleged use of chemical weapons topped the agenda of a phone meeting between President Barack Obama and British Prime Minister David Cameron. Both leaders were, quote, gravely concerned by signs of chemical weapons being used by the Syrian government to attack civilians. The Syrian government, led by President Bashar al-Assad, has denied involvement and blamed rebel fighters for the allegations. Opposition activists demand that a team of UN chemical weapons experts investigate the suspected attacks, but the government has yet to agree. The UN Security Council has called for immediate access in Damascus for UN investigators. In other news, the Korean government supports numerous projects overseas that aim to help underprivileged children realize their right to a safe and stable education. One particular program has achieved amazing results, transforming at-risk schools in Latin America into a beacon of hope for students and teachers. Kim Young-gil reports.
Widespread graffiti, metal bars lining hallways, and rampant violence among teenagers. These snapshots provide a glimpse of a troubled school in El Salvador, but in just 3 months, the student body has undergone a dramatic shift in the right direction. The principal of the Joaquin Rodezno School credits the change in part to a Korean education assistance project.
As a result of these efforts, the students are able to feel the change in their lives. Also, the attitudes of the students have become more positive.
The so-called Brain Education program was first launched by the Seoul Ministry of Education in cooperation with the Korean Global Cyber University. Korean education experts were sent to 4 pilot schools to provide instruction on stress management, positive social interactions, and improving learning skills. The success has prompted local education officials to expand the Brain Education program to 180 schools nationwide. Principal Gloria Mueller attended an education symposium in Seoul earlier this month to express her gratitude.
I'm deeply grateful for the Korean government's immense support.
I am happy and thankful that the program has been of help and has expanded to several schools.
The tangible results of the program abroad have even caught the attention of Seoul education authorities.
By taking this approach, students are able to focus when they study. Creating and placing them in this conducive environment helps their minds.
Korean lawmakers are also actively reviewing the program to address problems here at home.
In regards to school violence, certain punishments are dealt out in situations where school violence occurs. These kinds of oriented measures are not able to provide a fundamental solution.
Mueller hopes to take back more locally developed ideas to continue transforming the education system in El Salvador as Korea reflects on its own efforts. Kim Young-geul, Arirang News.
And lastly, turning to the weather outlook, while the mornings and evenings have become noticeably cooler, the scorching hot sun continues to bake the country during the day. These conditions will continue from Monday until Thursday, when the country is forecast to see some rainfall. Here's the outlook now near you and elsewhere around the world. And that wraps up the news at this hour. The next live newscast is coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time. We thank you for watching.